Hello, everybody. Last night I had the pleasure, of watching The Hunger Games Part 2, Catching Fire, down below, quickly down under. I think it was just called Hunger Games Catching Fire, but and I'm going to do a review of it. So here we go. It was directed by Francis Lawrence, who's claimed to fame as directing Jennifer Lopez and Britney Spears videos prior to directing the terrible movie Constantine and the movie I Am Legend. He also did Water for Elephants, which I'm not a hipster and I'm not a fucking film snob, so I haven't seen it because it has the most pretentious title I've ever read. But it might be alright, I don't know. He's also working on the next two. There's 3 books, because they're doing the Harry Potter / Twilight thing, where it's more movies than books. So there's, I don't know, fucking 7 Harry Potter books, and there's 8 movies, right? Or something like that. And there's 4 Twilight movies, or books, and 5 movies. There's 3 of these Hunger Games books. Now they're making, yeah, you saw it, you a little sneak preview there. 4, you guessed it. That's right. So he's doing part 1 of Mockingjay, and then part 2 as well. But I watched the first one kind of reluctantly. I didn't really hear of this Jennifer Lawrence girl, and since she's blown up, obviously, and won an Oscar and nominated for another one right now for American Hustle, which is a movie I felt she was out of place in, but it was good. She was good in it. She just shouldn't have been casted in that role. Should have been someone older, but that's another movie. This one, well, excuse me, I started watching the original. It was alright. I thought it was going to be worse because, again, people lump that in with the teenage books of like Twilight and Harry Potter. Not that I'm comparing those 2 series because Twilight is dog shit compared to Harry Potter. But I kind of lump them all in the same group of books I don't want to read because they're for teenagers, and I am not a teenager anymore. I can admit that. So I didn't read the books, and it just sounded like shit. And then people kind of explained them to me over time, and they sounded a little better and better. And so I finally hesitantly watched the movie, and it's better than I thought it was going to be. A little. I know it's kind of cliche now to say it reminded me a lot of Battle Royale, which is a movie I already loved. But it was like the Full House version of that, where it was like family friendly. It was like people blew up, but you didn't see anything. But Battle Royale is fucking brutal. Like, you see arms ripped off, and like their heads explode because they have those collars that he wears in like Escape from New York, and their heads blow up, and like fucking blood spraying, and the teacher shoots himself. It's fucking brutal. And then Hunger Games felt like the ABC Family version of that movie, but it's still, with that being said, it was still better than I thought it was gonna be. So when the sequel came out, I decided, fuck it, why not? Because I liked the way the first one ended. The first one ended, spoiler alert on that one, this one, and a couple other movies I'm going to bring up here, which are The Truman Show and Cabin in the Woods. If you haven't seen those, hopefully you don't mind them getting spoiled. Truman Show is like fucking, 16 years old now? Watch it. Cabin in the Woods, amazing. Watch it. Anyway, the end of the first Hunger Games ends with Katniss Everdeen. Again, the names I'm not going to go into. I hate fucking fantasy books for this reason. So I hate Lord of the Rings. It's just, you say whatever you want. Name and name. A couple sounds that you can throw them together. It doesn't matter. You can make up whatever you want. It doesn't matter. If you run into a problem, you just throw a magic potion on it, and then you can. It's a writing tool to get around any situation. It's just bullshit, and I don't agree with it. Anyway, the first one ends. You know the plot of the movie. It ends with the revolt. Like, the people start revolting because Katniss and what's his fucking name? The dude, Peeta, that's a name. They save each other at the end because they don't. The people who put them in the competition didn't want them to kill themselves, kill both of them. They wanted a victor no matter what, so they both were willing to sacrifice themselves, and they pretended to be in love, and so the people they allowed it. Donald Sutherland as President Snow let them live. And then people start revolting because they start getting, they start they have someone in the back. Like they really follow these characters, and they're realizing how oppressed they are by this District 1 who hosts these games. It's kind of like the government district. But so that's how it ended, and it reminded me of like the first Assassin's Creed video game, where it ends with like you're just starting to get into the good parts of it, and it kind of ended. And I was like, oh shit, this is where it's gonna pick up. It's gonna pick up with all this like political intrigue. It's gonna keep going. It's just gonna build from there. Like maybe they'll get into a war. But instead, what we got was they do a little tour at the beginning of this movie, 1 day in each district, so 12 days. And then they get to the District 1, which is where President Snow and all them live, and then they just kind of hang out and take pictures and do videos with Stanley Tucci and his over-the-top drag roll. And then they hang out for 45 fucking minutes. And she keeps doing the Twilight thing where she strings along this guy, Liam Hemsworth, who's Gale Hawthorne, and then fucking, what's his name, who plays Peeta, Josh Hutcherson. And she strings them both along. Yeah, she's doing this to him. Yeah, and that's pretty brutal. She's just doing this to them both and just keeps doing that. One gets a little closer and she gets the other one going. You know how it works. Come on. We've all been there. Anyway, and she keeps rope it open, like fucking pulling them in, and then doesn't really seem to care about anyone except her family and herself, which ordinarily would be a good thing in a character. But when she's up here and like the people hold her up here, and she has the potential to do all this great stuff, and all she gives a shit about is like 3 people who we never really see. We don't give a shit about them. Oh, and surprise, by the way, at the end of the book, or the movie, excuse me, I didn't read the book, they just go, oh, they killed him off screen, and it doesn't even matter, they died anyway. So, which I have a suspicion they didn't really die. He just tells him that. Woody Harrelson just tells him that to get her to do what they want her to do. Anyway, so they go in and they fight this fucking war, and I jumped way ahead, I'm sorry, but it's the exact same plot of the first one. Like literally, they get President Snow wants her dead because she's inciting a revolt against these people who keep doing this shit. Like, there we go. That's how cameras work. Can't go above the lens, can I? They keep she'll be doing a speech, and then she'll just be like, "I'm sorry for your losses," and then blah blah blah, and he's fucking tear cry, and then some old guy would just be like, "Do this," and then they pull him up and they'll fucking shoot him in the back of the head, and okay. Why? I don't. And they keep doing that from district to district. They keep shooting him in the head, like killing him. And Philip Seymour Hoffman's in there, just like, yeah, kill him. I'm not gonna go through everything. Seeing this isn't Lord in Wonderland, but I'm just gonna a couple points here. But because they get her into this game again, like they wrap it around, so like, oh, we have to get her in the game again, and it's like a good old classic sequel. Like, oh, he's back at it. Like the boys are back in town, you know. Oh, what's gonna happen next? Crazy adventures. You know, what are they gonna get into? Oh my god, what kind of crazy wacky characters are we gonna see this time? Like, it's like a fucking Bond movie. Like, okay, they're gonna do it again. They're going back to the Hunger Games, and this time it's a little more interesting because it's a pool. Originally, it's the pool of people who live in these districts, but this time, guys, new tactics. When all else fails, fresh tactics, as Travolta said in Face Off. This time they're going to use the victors of the previous games, which is kind of like doing the elite of the elite, because it's people who have battle tested and they've proven themselves. And then you think, I don't know, Woody Harrelson, what's her name, and Elizabeth Banks. Sorry. You think they're gonna start all this revolt and like get them all going and like start revolting against Snow, because even they're against him. Everyone's starting to be against him, even if they're from District 1. They're starting to realize it's kind of horseshit because they're just killing people left and right here, and people are starting to realize that it's wrong, and more people are getting on Katniss's side, Katniss side, which sounds like suicide by her. So they starting to get on her side, and then you think. I thought, I don't want to say you, I don't know what you thought, I don't know. But I thought they're going to go revolt and then pretend like they're gonna go into the games and then revolt instead, like boo, like right at the last second. And then they're like getting in there, and then they kill Lenny Kravitz, and then they go up into the Hunger Games, and then they have the Hunger Games again. So the title didn't lie. It should be called Hunger Games again. Catching fire if you really want to. I don't know. I don't care. The whole coal fire thing was fucking stupid. It only worked in their dress. I don't know. So then they do that, and previous to this, it's been 45 minutes of boring fucking talk and like awkward editing, and the editing is fucking atrocious, and it looks like, was it New Moon, the Twilight movie, where they chop, and it looks like a fucking montage for an hour and a half. I thought this movie was going to go like that, and luckily it didn't, but it looked like dog shit for the first 45 minutes or so. I mean, she kept meeting him, or what's his name, Liam Hemsworth. She kept meeting him, like falling in love. Like I said, she's doing this, and then they kept chopping, like editing back and forth, and it was so horribly done that I thought the whole movie was gonna be like that, and I was I'm glad it wasn't. Anyway, the movie got a lot better once they got in the Hunger Games, which I was surprised by, because they had fresh ideas like lightning, and it reminded me of Lost. How the island moves and like knows, and and then it's set up for every set of hours. The whole island looks like a clock, and like it clicks, and then something new will happen in a different zone, which really reminded me of Lost, and then the good seasons of Lost. But then she starts figuring out and like trying to dissect the game, and then all this shit, and then she got like behind the scenes, and she shot the arrow and shot the dome down, and it came crashing down. And then it really, really reminded me of the Truman Show, because they were watching her from a dome in the sky, and they're just watching her, and the whole world's set up, because they have these like, everyone else in the game, half the people in the game are on her side and willing to die for her, because they know she's worth more alive, and they're willing to sacrifice their lives to keep her alive for the revolt. And the other half, they have to fight, which is whatever, that's normal. But the dome keeps crashing down, and it also reminded me of Cabin in the Woods, which has a very similar plot, where they have to deconstruct the game around them in order to survive. They have to figure out the rules, and that's very well done in that movie. And in this one, not so much, not so much at all. It's okay. The movie got better as it went on. I'll give it that. It reminded me of too many other movies. This one didn't so much remind me of Battle Royale. Excuse me, I'm a little sick. Didn't really remind me of Battle Royale that much, which is good, because I didn't want another reminder. It was a lot better than the first one in the second half. The first half of this is very, very weak. Very weak. And the second half is pretty good. Which is why I gave them both a 6 out of 10. It's because the first one's alright over like throughout, and this one, like I said, is weak in the beginning and awesome, not awesome, but good in the second half. And if you do like kind of like the average, it's about as good as the first one. It's like if this movie is all second half of this movie, it would have been way better. But it's overall, it was okay. I'm looking forward to the third one more. But then again, that's what I said about this one, because they're really starting to revolt at the end of this one, which is why I also feel this movie is pointless. It's just filler, because think about it like this: if they would have cut this movie out, say this movie never existed, the first one would end, she wins the Hunger Games, the revolt starts. The way the second one ends is the revolt starts for real. And then the third one is going to begin with that revolt. So in reality, you could cut from the first revolt, skip the second movie, and go into the real revolt for the third movie. Nothing would be any different. You would be none the wiser. All the characters are still alive, except Lenny Kravitz. You can just have it, oh, he died, off screen. Like, oh, I couldn't really got beat to death. That was crazy. Like, off screen. It's a fucking little ADR. A couple lines like that, and it wouldn't even matter. Or even put that scene in this movie. Like, change it a bit, but Jesus, like, it was pointless. It wasn't horrible. It was just pointless. Like the story overall was just eh. It didn't have to happen. None of it mattered. So yeah, I guess that's about it. That's all I really have to say about this. I'm sorry I went on so long. I'm trying to make these shorter, but I really had to say a lot about this, guys. I really had to say a lot. Yeah, make sure you guys rate and review on YouTube. Check out Lord in Wonderland. That show right here. That's Katy Perry. She doesn't know about this. Don't tell her so she doesn't sue us. Yeah, thanks, guys. And check out Lord in Wonderland. And upcoming next is another podcast we're doing called The Incredible Negative Men. The Incredible Negative Men. And I'll post, that'll be on there too. And it's going to be all on our Lord in Wonderland stuff. We're going to have a bunch of shows like this one here that you're watching right now. All of them are going to be on the Lord in Wonderland pages. And it's going to be all this. That's going to be the hub for all of them. So we're going to do that. So I'm just letting you guys know. So rate and review. Let me know. Message me. If there's a movie you want me to watch, just let me know and I'll watch it. And I'll review it. I think I'm going to do all the Twilight movies. I've seen them all before, but I'm going to watch them again because, oh boy, can't wait to rip them apart. Alright guys, thanks.